Hello all. In my ongoing reviews of some of Philip K. Dick's better novels, we come to one of my favorites, and it's not as popular as some of the others, let's say Ubik or the Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch. And it's Time Out of Joint from 1959, which is a little earlier than those other books too, but touches on some of the same subjects, and that is, what is reality? Is there such a thing as shared reality? And you know, are our perceptions of reality true, or could they actually be a lie? Um, it's set in 1959 in a quiet suburban American town somewhere, and this character, Ragle Gumm, um, is the protagonist, because his job is to play this game called, in a national newspaper, called Where Will the Little Green Man Be Next? And each week he wins, and he wins some sort of a small cash prize. And his 1959 is not the same as ours, because things are like the Tucker car was in fact produced. AM/FM radios are rare, almost non-existent. Marilyn Monroe is completely unknown. They don't know who, she's not a popular actress. And some strange things start to happen. Gum goes to a soft drink stand that he frequents in this little town, and it just disappears, and instead there's a little slip of paper that says soft drink stand. And he's like, what the heck? I can't figure it out. He finds a magazine article about Marilyn Monroe. He finds a telephone book with numbers that don't work and radios that are hidden in people's houses. And people who shouldn't know him, like military pilots, are talking to each other on a transceiver, and they're mentioning his name, and he doesn't understand, what's going on. Nobody else seems to notice these things except his brother-in-law, Vic Nielsen, and he confides in him and tells him, I think there's something weird going on. One of his neighbors, Mrs. Keitelbein, invites him to a civil defense class, and they're talking about this futuristic underground military factory, and he thinks he's been inside that factory himself. Strange things start to happen. One of his neighbors, Bill Black, makes the observation, suppose Ragle Gumm is becoming sane again. And he does, in fact, become sane when he starts to realize that his surroundings are fake. And he is in some sort of a strange town. He tries to escape, and he's turned back by these weird obstructions. And he sees a copy of Time with himself on it as Man of the Year in a military uniform at the factory that was depicted in the civil defense class model. And he's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. He makes another escape, and this time he succeeds because Vic helps him. And he learns that the town is actually constructed, and it was designed to protect him from the fact that he lives on a future Earth, and actually 1988, not 1959. Earth's at war with these lunar colonists who are trying to declare independence from Earth. They want the moon to become an independent colony, and the game that he's played is actually a way of predicting where nuclear weapons from the moon will strike. Where it will be aimed so that they can intercept them. And he had actually been in the military, a colonel or in the military protecting Earth, but then he switched sides and started, because he secretly wants to emigrate to the moon. And so what they did is the military, before he could do that, before he could defect, they constructed this fantasy world and let him live in it based on the idyllic surroundings of his youth. And so it was created on the ruins of a town called Kemmerer, Wyoming, and they just let him live there so that he can do this thing. He plays the contest of where's the little green man going to be next to alert them to where the lunar colonists are going to attack. Eventually, he learns about all this. He learns that it's fake, and he still wants to. He remembers his real history, and he decides to immigrate to the moon after all, because he feels that he's been exploited, and that exploration as and migration as a natural human impulse should be pursued. It shouldn't be denied by a planetary government. Vic, his brother-in-law, rejects that and then goes back to, he sees the colonists as aggressors, and he returns to the simulated town, which really has lost its purpose because Gumm escaped and is not really, for anything anymore. And eventually, the lunar colonists decide they're gonna have a ceasefire with Earth. They're willing to negotiate, and that Earth's one happy world regime, which has been telling its citizens they'll go along with it a little bit more. It's an interesting book, and if all that sounds very familiar, if that sounds to you like The Truman Show, that's not coincidental. I think, in fact, Jim Carrey has said that he was a big fan of Philip K. Dick, and I think the writers of The Truman Show based a lot of, if not the entire thing, and certainly the part about a person living in a constructed reality and he doesn't know it's constructed, and then he eventually finds out about it and decides he wants to leave, is very similar. Of course, there are the echoes to Hamlet, which is where the line comes from. After Hamlet finds out that his father has been murdered and his uncle Claudius is to blame, he says, "The time is out of joint, oh cursed spite, that I was ever born to set it right." Hamlet Act 2, Scene 4. Hamlet Act 5, Scene 2. And of course, he does have to set it right, and he does in the end. So there's that aspect of it as well. It's really quite good. It comes back to the themes that PKD returned to a lot. Is reality real? Is there such a thing as shared reality? And could what we think is real actually turn out to be fake? This is explored in a lot of Philip K. Dick's work. One of the better ones was a story called Electric Ant from 1969, actually a lot later, but also explored these ideas where a guy discovers that after an accident with his flying car, that he's not a human being, he's an android. And he starts to play around with the idea, what happens if I fool around with the tape that programs me, and that has a negative effect on reality, which I think is interesting. Also, he explores this in the novels Eye in the Sky, and The Cosmic Puppets, to some extent also in Galactic Popular, which I also already discussed, and a few more novels I'm going to discuss, including Martian Time Slip and Dr. Futurity, which I'll get to in future reviews. Very, very highly recommended. Time Out of Joint by Philip K. Dick from 1959. There are a lot of editions of it. It is still in print.